Okay guys, so we are completely done with our notifications in this application. So we're going to go to the next step, and this is going to be the feed and the post of the user and all that. And let me just go ahead and tell you how this is going to work. So when the user logs in, he's directed to home, and what he's going to see is a box right here, and it's going to be a view component where he can create a post and post. As soon as he posts, it's going to be added to his feed. Okay, so we're gonna have a feed for the users here, so where he can see the list of posts for his friends and all of that. And we have to use Vuejs because we really want to create an application that can be used in the real world of today. Okay, so just bear with me. We're gonna be doing some Vuejs also, and we're gonna see more of Vuex, which is gonna give us more to learn, new stuff to learn, which is the whole purpose of this tutorial. So looks like we need a new model for our application, and we also need a new migration. So for the post table, okay, so I'll go ahead and run php artisan make model, and this model will be the post, and with that we create a migration. So that's created for us. Go ahead to our directory structure. There we have a post model, and we can go ahead to the post table and see how our post is gonna look. Okay, so for a post, what would I like? I would like a post to have, of course, content. So I'll say this is a text field, and this should be the content of the post. Okay, and the next thing is that we need to know which user is actually creating this post. So we're gonna set an integer field, and this is gonna be the user's ID. So obviously we're gonna have a lot more fields, but at this point in our tutorial we're just gonna leave it at that. Okay, so that's it for our post table, and we need to make some fields fillable, protected, fillable, and here we would have the content, and right here we can have the user ID. And we can actually not have the user ID fillable. If we are not having the user ID fillable, then when we're creating posts, we'll just get maybe the authenticated user who is creating that post, and we'll just reference the post relationship that we have, and then we'll just say create. Okay, and we'll be able to pass in the content of our post. Okay, so we can actually do it like this. So we get the authenticated user, we call the post relationship with the post table, and we create a new entry into the database, and we insert the content only without the user ID being fillable. Okay, so this is actually a better way of doing it because it gives a little bit of security to our database. But just for simplicity, I'll just go ahead and leave it at this. So we input the user ID into the post table and the content. Okay, so let's go ahead and define a relationship, public function user, and this user is actually the person who created the post. So we'll say return this post belongs to app user model. Okay, so this is the relationship with our user table, and in our user.php we need another relationship. So this relationship is going to get the post of the user. So we have public function, and this will be post in plural, so that we can get a list of posts that this user has posted. So we'll say return this has many app posts. Okay, so a user can have as many posts as possible, and a post can only belong to one user. Okay, so that's it. So I believe we'll actually come and edit this in future. Okay, but let's just go ahead and leave it at this. Now the next step is actually creating a view component that is going to create posts for us. So I'll go ahead to my resources, assets, JS directory, and right there I'll create a new component, and this component will be called post.view. And the post.view is just gonna have a template, and this template is gonna be div.container. In fact, it's just gonna be exactly what we have in our home.blade. So I'll copy this right here, and my post.view, I'll paste it in there, and okay, so right here we'll be creating a post. I don't need a header. and I'll just have a text area right here, and this is gonna be text area with a class of form control, and we don't need a name, we don't also need an ID, we don't need columns, it's gonna span all through, and we just need about 5 rows. Okay, so this is our text area, and we're gonna bind to this using a component. We're gonna bind to this using some data on our component. Okay, so this is our text area, and the next thing I want to do is just have a button right below that says create the component. So I'll just have a button dot button dot button success dot pull right, so it floats to the right, and this is just gonna say create a post. Okay, now next thing is that we have to actually export these components, and we just say export by default, and here we'll have a mounted to do something when the component is mounted, and we'll have our data that we're gonna define later on. Okay, so this component looks normal. So last step, we have to register this component with our app. So we'll have a post right here. It's say post, and we'll say post.view. Okay, so let's go ahead and run gulp. And the next step is to actually mount this in our home.blade.php. Okay, so when the user visits his home page, he shouldn't see any of this. He should just see the post. Okay, so we'll say post. Our component is mounted. Okay, so now if we go ahead and refresh, we should be able to see that component, and there we see it. Okay, so we have a create post tab right here. So you can go ahead and reduce this or make it bigger, it doesn't really matter. So now we have our components mounted. So in the following videos, in the next videos, we're gonna actually make this work to create new posts into our database and all that.